Susie.
You know it. Here I
Hello.
am. Hi, everyone.
Can you believe we're back at it again?
I mean, do we ever stop?
Nope. Episode 290, people.
Content.
Yep.
Can't stop, won't
I
stop.
had a friend from the clinic who was like, hey, I just started listening to your episodes, and I'm so excited. I just started at number 1. I'm like, oh, we really don't hit our stride till about episode 23.
That's so true.
She's like, I have so many. And then I said, well, we have 288 so far or whatever. And somebody else at the clinic was like, holy crap, that's a lot of talking.
I mean, it
like,
really
yeah.
is a lot of
Do
talking.
you expect anything else? And one of the pieces of advice I got from my own therapist, as well as from my supervisors when they watched me in session, is I need to stop being so wordy. And I was like,
No!
Don't you know what I do for a living?
What do they mean by that anyway?
What do you want from me, people? They mean like get to the point faster.
Okay, but I like when therapists are wordy.
Me too. And I like to add some colorful stories in there, and
They're just saying get to the
thing.
point.
well, sometimes it can sound like a lecture, I guess.
Oh, all right. Constructive criticism, fine.
Yep, I'll take it. You just don't want to lose them. You want to check in and be like, are you getting this?
I hope that
How you doing?
doesn't bleed over into our show, and then you're like...
Nope. Hasn't happened yet.
Right.
Get the opposite. I guess that one person said I cut you off a lot.
I think it was more than one person.
Yeah, probably. But I'm working on it. Maybe we haven't had that complaint in a while, right?
No.
Yeah.
We have
See?
good chemistry.
Wait till episode maybe it was episode about 123 then before we hit our stride. Or at least I figured it out.
I don't think that we do that, you do that, because it's more just banter, and that's how there's overlap.
And we're excited, for goodness sakes.
Back off.
It's not like I don't want to hear what you're saying or think what you're saying isn't muy importante.
Well, let's talk about a thing I read about porn then.
Oh, well, tell me everything.
Okay. Well, so this happens all the time where, you know how Pornhub has that sort of, I think they have a separate page or something where it says Pornhub Insights, and it'll say, this is the search that's most popular in Kansas or whatever.
Well, I haven't explored that because I haven't been, on Pornhub in a while, but...
Well, no, I haven't seen it on Pornhub. I'm just saying that, like,
You're,
whenever
speaking like you knew.
Well, because whenever these things come out, then journalists run with it and
got it.
do these stories about popular porn searches and kind of crazy things that people are looking for and stuff. And this was a great article because it unpacked what's really going on. And it described how, for starters, Pornhub does that but doesn't reveal how many people they surveyed or how they got their data. And because it's, the most valuable thing that they have basically are these search data insights. And so they give you more general stuff, and it could even be made up. We don't know because they don't provide the citations or anything. Mm-hmm. And so then when journalists see it, they just think it makes a clickbait headline. And so then they use it, and then it gets repeated and repeated and repeated. And it may or may not actually reflect the general population because it differentiated between porn consumers, which most people are, versus porn customers, which are the people for whom they actually will click through on a link or a pop-up and pay for a service or a product or a video.
Who's doing that?
Well, it said it's about 1 out of every 10,000 or so will actually pay. But those people's preferences are the thing that determines what that site will have more content of. So that's why there's so much step family porn, is because those people tend to be willing to pay for more stuff.
Ew. Mm-hmm. I think it's a more bizarre and like those, if you're willing to pay for it, those things have to be pretty entrenched. Like it takes more to, I don't know.
Yes.
I feel like, yeah, it's weird. Okay.
I totally agree.
It's not a reflection of the because, we're just like satisfied with like.
Yes, it is not a representative.
The amuse-bouche. We don't need to order the 40-course tasting menu.
Exactly. And if you're super into like stepdad porn or whatever it is, then you would be more likely to pay for more of that, especially if it's a niche thing. Because another one that's very popular amongst people that pay is the interracial, where it's the big black guy and the small white girl. And that's very good with conversion rates. And so they provide more of that content because it makes them more money.
Do you think also that there's some, because I'm thinking maybe if you don't have to, maybe there's some like shame or something involved in having to search for that every time.
Oh.
And so wanting to almost like kind of curate, like so you don't have to, like, oh, I just have to log into this site rather than type in these weird things into my search criteria.
Yeah, so maybe there's an element of like it makes it easier and maybe less shameful.
Yeah, or maybe like more. Is it? I don't know. It feels like almost like more secretive, or like you're kind of like hiding if you're
in a little club.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
And it's just kind of weird because that changes how I read the data, because what it really is about finding more people to pay money, because that's going to be your goal if you're into that industry. And so what we used to think is like, why is everyone into interracial? Well, everyone's not, but maybe more people that pay are into that for whatever reason. And
really nice to know that not everybody's into this weird step, incestuous stuff. Thank you.
It did provide some insight as well, this article, about the idea of a taboo and why, things catch on. And obviously a step family thing is taboo in our culture. But it's not criminal.
Yeah.
In the way that we think of incest,
Ugh. Yeah.
Right? Because they're not technically related or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating because a lot of people like to think of porn as, or even sexuality as like, we are publicly we're all pretty vanilla, most of us. But then privately there's this other side where you're super kinky. And I don't agree with that. I don't think everyone is kinky. Some scholars think kink is just universal. We just don't share it.
I don't know. I don't think that's true.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
Some people like to keep it simple.
I think that and maybe how, like, just like you were saying, I think maybe how they're going about testing these things, like you were saying in the previous episode, might also be a problem. Because if you're just, strapping people to things that measure levels of arousal, we might be aroused by that, but that's not what we choose to, watch or see or participate in all the time. I got real excited when I watched Eyes Wide Shut, but I don't want to go to a sex club. But like, how you're just a human. This is a biological response. But if you were to strap me up to those, things that measure physiological responses, they would say, "Oh,
she's super into that."
But no,
well, I think most of these are just done by search frequency. How many times someone searches for a particular thing or whatever. But I don't even think that's a good way to measure it, because sometimes they're looking for something very specific that may or may not have anything to do with step families.
Right.
But they might
or
search,
sometimes you just accidentally search for things, like when I search for kitty bikini waxes.
Right, you learned the hard way.
Just for doing research for the show. I was like, okay, well, now it's given me a lot of, way more porn than I anticipated. But
well, if you are searching for undies, I know where you can find them. And that's Me Undies, Sarah.
Oh, so cute.
They are beyond cute, but the softest undies. Matt Maroney.
What is that amazing fabric called? Modal something?
Micromodal fabric.
Yes.
And they are the best. I mean, I can't believe how comfy they are, to be honest. I was like, how comfy could an underpant be? The answer is very.
Oh.
It feels like heaven against your skin.
Well, that's what you want. I feel like the older I get, the less patience I have for uncomfortable undergarments.
Yeah, and they are cute too. So they have all different cuts and things like that. So you'll find what you're looking for. They have a great offer for our listeners too. For any first-time purchasers, when you order MeUndies, you get 15% off and free shipping. It's a no-brainer. Get 15% off a pair of the most comfortable undies you will ever put on. To get 15% off your first pair, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/braincandy. That's MeUndies.com/braincandy. And you can do like classic colors, bold, adventurous. I mean, real cute.
Adventurous, yes.
We know how you are, Sarah. Mm-hmm. She's a super freak.
She's super freaking.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting, though. I'll put that in the newsletter. If you want to sign up for our newsletter, go to thebraincandypodcast.com. I also read, changing the subject, an article about a new trend that I didn't even know was a thing, which is parents going to school to eat lunch with their kids.
Oh, please, God, no. Stop it. I have a hard time with the parents who are there all the time, every week.
Yeah.
And, I understand if you're volunteer, like the teacher needs help, blah, blah, blah. But come on. We know what this really is.
Right?
You just want to be with your freaking kid.
It's
You're
so
taking
crazy
away
to me.
from the things that they are supposed to be learning and what they're supposed to be doing. Stop it.
It's really weird. But I don't want to judge because I know some of our listeners probably do this and have good reasons why they want to do it. But just for me personally, the last thing I want to do when I take my kid to school is to come back and friggin' eat lunch with him.
Well, and there were, yeah, right? I mean, but listen, you love your child, I love your child, but that's like not, this is like, when I was in elementary school, there were days that were designed for this.
Oh.
Where it was like, there would be breakfast, though. It would be like Mother's Day breakfast or whatever it was.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
It was like, like lunch and dads would come or whatever it is.
Sure.
But that's, I'm okay with. That's like, like there's a day, bring your child to work. But you don't bring your freaking kid to work every day. It'd be weird. The same way, parents save it for that day, but you don't go every day.
Well, I think I understand the impulse, especially if you think for some reason that your child is isolated or having a tough time, which everyone knows lunchtime can be stressful. But to me, it feels like helicopter parenting gone wrong.
It is.
Yeah. And that in the article, which was in the Atlantic, it was describing how this one woman would bring pizza and give it to her kid, but also give it to like the kid's friends as a way of like buying the kid friends.
Yep.
And come on.
Oh my gosh. This is not okay. That is going to backfire down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. It's like good intentions.
And sometimes those kids don't want friends. They're
True.
like cool by themselves.
Yeah, that's true. And
just because you're,
I do get it,
child.
but and so now some schools are banning it, and some are like putting in like separate areas where you have to go with your kid to eat lunch.
Oh my God! Could you imagine?
No,
stop. These it's the opposite. It's having the opposite effect. You want your kid's getting picked on. You think you're going to go there and help? No. Then he's going to be picked on because what? Mommy has to come be at lunch with you.
I know.
No.
To me, it just seems like ill-advised.
Yeah, there are other. You're missing the point of this socialization they're supposed to get at school and what they're supposed to be doing and learning and all that.
Why do you think though? Because I don't get why this is something that's growing, where people are becoming more and more and more like that with their kids. What is this trend? I don't know.
Do you think it's the social comparison thing?
It could be.
Of like feeling like an inadequate parent if you're not doing like.
It could
you're not
be
freaking extra.
And maybe it's because of the absolute insanity in the world and feeling like you need to control just your own little nest.
That makes sense. Yes.
I do feel that.
That's a really good. You got to look at the contextual stuff and what's going on, even at, like societally. So
So
and
it
kind of shows that these parents have more anxiety. It's the parents' anxiety, which tends to be kind of contagious too.
Yes.
And so then you have an anxious kid, and then you're thinking you're helping, but that's causing more anxiety.
Yeah. It would drive me nuts though if I were a teacher.
Oh, because then you can't really do what your job. You feel like you're being watched. Yeah, no, not cool with that.
Aren't teachers like the heroes of the universe?
They sure are. God bless them.
Every day I think about it. I'm like, I cannot believe I have difficulty with just one human that I have to keep alive. And they have 25, sometimes 30 or more.
Yeah, sometimes more. I mean, those ratios, I'm like, wow, I can't believe. And they're doing it sometimes without even a teacher's aid or anything.
I don't know how
God
they do
bless
it.
them.
I really do not. So,
yeah.
yeah.
And substitute teachers, those guys are great too. Cause
oh, my God. I would not want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about unappreciated.
Yeah. I always tried to be nice to the substitute teacher when I was a kid because I knew they were just having a rough time.
Yeah, kind of. I don't think...
That's why I'm a therapist now. So.
Yeah. I don't think I thought they were having a rough time. I think they were just...
Oh, I did.
I know they were now, but...
Yeah.
Anyway.
I always remember just being like feeling so sad when they like... I was in one class where everybody did that like book drop at a specific time. Oh my gosh, that was classic substitute teacher day move where you go, okay, at 12:30, we're all going to drop our book on the floor at like the exact same time. So they would just slide their book, and then as soon as the clock, because there would be that second hand that went around.
Why? What is the point of this?
Push it just to make a loud noise, just to like prank the.
That is not funny.
Well, most things that junior high kids come up with.
But why do they even think it's funny?
I don't know, because it's like just being disruptive.
Like that. I do not like it. Yeah, and I mean, that's probably
those are the things that made me feel bad for the subs.
Well, the difference is I went to a Christian school. That was not happening.
Oh, no way. You're going to get beat. You're going to get whipped with the what are those little sticks?
You're going to get beat.
Yeah,
I love
they do
how
that
you
there,
think that's what happens.
I don't know. People say that their teachers in Catholic school got them with a little stick.
Right. No, it's not unheard of, but I don't think it's as widespread as... I would not have been okay with that. Oh, my God.
That's true.
Did you ever get spanked in your whole life?
Yeah. Oh, my God. My mom had... Oh, my gosh, she's going to hate this. But whatevs. You did it, Mom. We had a spanking spoon. It was like the wooden spoon.
Yeah, that's common.
Yeah. It was more of a threat than it was a... Like, she'd get it out and, like, hit it against her hand really hard.
No.
Yeah, to, like, scare us. And she'd be like, don't make me. And we were like, okay, we won't do it. And then, this is the best story ever. So, it was Christmas time, and we were walking through Macy's, and my little brother, Luke, must have been about 4 or 5 at the time. And we're all, like, waiting in line. It's really crowded. And we're in the home department. My mom's got all 3 of us in tow. And my little brother points to the wooden spoons, and he goes... real loud, look, Mom, spanking spoons.
No.
In the middle of the department store, and it was like a record, and all the parents, like the people in line, just gave her this stare, like, oh, hell no. Mm-hmm. But,
Right, that's not kosher
like how they did
now.
it.
Right.
Yeah, that was and she was a little lady, and we were rowdy children. Not me, but the other 2.
Yeah. My mom used one of those rubber paint stirrers that has like holes in it, so like the air would go through and it would hurt.
Ooh, no wind resistance there.
Yeah.
Just designed for maximum impact.
Efficient. Right.
Yes.
It was so painful, but my sister got it way worse than I did.
Oh. Well, you learned. There you go. You saw it and you were like, oh, hell no.
No, right. And I would say sorry immediately, and Gretchen would be like, that doesn't hurt.
Oh, no. You can't do that.
Right.
Oh, my gosh. Pretend like it doesn't hurt. Yeah.
I get it, though. She had 5 kids, so it's like, she had to do something.
Oh, yeah.
No one was going to listen otherwise.
What are you going to do? Right.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? My little brother was like up trees. We were jumping off roofs. We were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, see, this is why teachers are amazing.
Yeah, right. Because they have to do it all with their voice.
Well,
in a lesson and somehow teach them in the middle.
I know one thing that has nothing to do with your voice, which is your teeth.
Well, sort of. Maybe. If you had none, it might affect it. Yeah.
And if you have teeth, and I know you do, you should use Quip toothbrushes because freaking they're awesome. They do the job. They have vibrations, so you know how long to brush and when to switch because it pulses and tells you to switch sides. So it's the best clean that you're getting, but it also has a little thing that mounts to your mirror, and you can just pop it right on your mirror. It looks so chic and nice, and so it declutters your sink that Marie Kondo would approve. And you know how those electric toothbrushes are always so giant normally? I'm not into that. Mm-hmm. And then the brush heads are delivered automatically every 3 months, so for just $5.
And toothpaste.
Yeah. You get your toothpaste and your new head to make it fresh as a daisy, and that's why we love Quip. And why over 1 million happy, healthy mouths do too. Quip starts at $25, and if you go to getquip.com/braincandy right now, you can get your first refill pack for free. That's a first refill pack free at getquip.com/braincandy. Brush those chompers.
I feel like good oral health and changing the bristles regularly, like what you're supposed to do, is the ultimate adulting move.
Yes.
Like, you know that you got your shit together when you're changing that toothbrush head regularly, and now you can have your shit together without having to worry about remembering because it just gets sent to you.
I don't understand what my son does, though, because his brush is always gross, like with blue toothpaste on it. You know, like he brushes the whole 2 minutes. Yeah. He's clearly not good at rinsing the bristles. Because I constantly have to
learn from Quip that you're not supposed to rinse your mouth out afterwards.
What?
You let the toothpaste do its job.
Really?
It's on the instructions.
I must have skipped that part.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you somebody, speaking of which, are you somebody who reads instructions?
What are we talking about here?
Like, if you get a new product and...
I do read it.
You do?
Yeah. You do too, right?
Too.
Yeah.
Oh my God, every single page.
Who's not doing that?
Men!
They just get it out and start using it?
Yes. Just figure it
no, that's no good.
Did we already talk on here about the death of the manual?
No.
Oh my God, Suze! Oh, this is in my notes from a million years ago. I'm going to have to go back in the archives. I did a deep dive. It was like over the holiday break. I read this article called "Our Instruction Manuals Passé," and it unlocked a whole bunch of stuff, and it was one of those where I'm like, "Well, this is interesting. Well, that's interesting."
Well, what do you think it is that would make them passé, though?
So now there was a quote from Elon Musk that said, "If a product needs instructions, it's already broken."
No,
saying that new products that are,
I guarantee you a Tesla comes with a manual.
Well, oh gosh, that's a really good point.
Because a car certainly needs one.
Yeah, but it's really like the disappearance of the instruction manual as we know it. So it's different now. So now it's integrated, the instructions and the anything like that is integrated into the actual product. Like for example, the Siri suggestions, on your iPhone where it's like, or shortcuts, where it's like, here's how you could do that. Or things that you just get out and you start using it. And, like the manual for an iPhone is like, it's like a card. There's like nothing on it.
Right, yeah.
And so some people are like, oh, this is great because it helps us, like we don't need to be wasting time with that, and the products are kind of designed to like learn as you use them.
Yeah.
But there are other people who are saying like there are kind of pros and cons, and the con is that it's taking the power away from the user, and you rely on whatever that company is, when you need to fix a product, when you need to know about a product, and it makes this like longer term relationship with the consumer and the manufacturer, whereas like other products, like the one example they used was an espresso machine, this really fancy one, where instruction manuals are great for that because they tell you not just how to use the product, but sometimes they'll tell you why it's important. Of like, if you grind the beans like this, you'll get these different flavors, and you learn about why it's like that, and also information on how to fix it yourself. And we're kind of like locked out of fixing it.
I agree. I see that point.
Yeah, I thought it was. I'm gonna put this article in the newsletter because it really was interesting about what was the first instruction manual.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's in Popular Science, and the very first instruction manual was more of like a guide for how to use It was called Moxon's Manual, and it explained like how to use, it was almost like a life hack guide.
Oh.
And he would title the each section or each little description of how to do something with like a clever name. Like one of the titles was How to Lift a Horse with Your Pinky, and you'd be like, oh, what the hell? And all he was doing was he was giving instructions on how to use a pulley system.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and so it's really interesting to learn about, when kind of like the birth and the death of the instruction manual.
Right.
Yeah,
wow, that's
real cool.
really interesting. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting about how products were kind of like being blocked from it's kind of taking the control away from us.
Well,
which people really don't
I feel like
about.
that even back in the day with your old cell phone, like a flip phone, when it would act up or glitch, you'd just turn it off and you'd take the battery out and then reset it, kind of thing. But with the iPhone, it's like, wait, where's the battery even? Like, how would you?
Right.
You can't dismantle it in that same way.
Yeah,
you have to kind of go to the store if you want something like that done. Keeping on the same subject, I had read an article about how there was a company called General Magic that had created essentially the iPhone 20 years too early.
What do you even mean?
It was so fascinating because, we think a lot about Steve Jobs and Apple and the iPhone and how things came about, and that's canon. And you don't think about, like, did they really come up with it, or was it just the right time? And it sounds like, in this case, the iPhone succeeded because it came about at the right time when people were ready for it. Because this General Magic company was a communication company, and they were asking themselves, like, what's the next thing? I guess that's all they always have to ask themselves. And they had decided that the next thing was that everything on your desk will be eventually in your pocket, which is what the iPhone is.
Yes.
And they had like even stickers that were essentially emojis. And after, you remember how Steve Jobs had that computer called Newton, and it was a failure, and it didn't do well because it was rushed to market and then it tanked. Well, when that happened, then basically everything similar was thought to be too risky and shelved. And so that's what happened with their General Magic device.
This is reminding me of that documentary, like What Happened to the Electric Car?
Yes, it's very similar.
And they were like, people aren't ready for it. It's too early. And then they just killed that idea.
Yeah, like we almost need to be eased into stuff.
Yes.
That if you change things too fast, people think it's either scary or won't work or is going to be too expensive or something like that. Wow. And so it didn't work out. And I just imagine, like, what would I feel like if I had the best idea in the world, but I just came up with it too freaking soon?
Yeah. Huh.
They were ahead of their time.
What else is like on the horizon that people are like, no, we got to slow roll this. We got to prep them. We got to lay the foundation for this technology now, or people won't be able to wrap their heads around it later.
Well, even when we talk about Apple, people are saying how whatever we're going to be using in 10 years, they've already worked on. And
absolutely. All the car stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Everything.
How far ahead do you think those people are?
15, 20 years.
Wow.
I mean, conceptually. Because you got to build the machines. You got to design the product, design the features.
Yeah.
With foresight, like with this like future, like foresight or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And then you have to like develop the technology to do that. Then you have to develop the machine to then produce the product, like the assembly line machines.
Yeah,
right?
Everything has to be...
You can't just be like, beep, boop, boop, boop. Okay, now make this. No, you got to make a whole thing.
Right, and whatever will make it happen, you have to get that accomplished before you can make the thing. You have to make the thing to make the thing.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I'm glad there are smart people that can do that because
Thank God, yeah.
I'm just
good at this. My brother is just started his electrical engineering program.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, you are the person who's going to be inventing this stuff.
That's fun. I love that.
Yep.
He
he's
could be
going
the
all
next
the way,
Steve Jobs.
Totally. He's like researching solar stuff now, like solar,
cool.
electrical, solar power, blah, 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 whatever. I don't know. It's like so much more. The names for his class, I'm like, I don't even know what that is. No idea.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he's getting straight A's, so like 98%. So I don't know how he's doing it. Just like to say it's our genetic
right, brains running the
somehow
family.
I'm related to that. Yeah.
Well, there's no doubt the future is now, and another way that technology will work for you is if you use Instacart, which is the most awesome way to have groceries delivered to you in as little as 1 hour, or you can pick a time that works with your schedule. It's such a cool app. You have to download it, and you get coupons that are exclusive that they can be used towards your order. They deliver from local and national retailers. You don't have to sit in traffic. You don't have to go and I'd play chicken with people in the grocery aisles with my cart. Get out of my way. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go through that stress. And you can just select the items you want, and then they can come in as little as 1 hour or whenever you want them to. They keep hot items hot and cold items cold. I used it. It's so easy and convenient. It was like, oh, we're out of this. Well, no, we're not. Try Instacart and get $10 off your first order. To get the limited time offer, go to instacart.com or download the mobile app and enter our promo code BRAINCANDY at checkout. That's $10 off your first order today at instacart.com or through the mobile app. And don't forget to enter our code BRAINCANDY, instacart.com or the mobile app with our code BRAINCANDY at checkout. Do it.
Yeah, dog.
Okay. Next on my agenda.
Yup.
They did this study. They
are at it again. They never sleep.
They're so busy. And I'm grateful.
Where are they getting all this funding?
Right. I wanted some of that sweet cash.
Yeah.
So, you know how everyone knows about the peacock and how the male peacock shows his beautiful feathers, and then, that's familiar. How he attracts the lady. Well,
yes.
They realized that not only that, but when the female peacock sees his plumage, she also feels the movement of his feathers through the crest on her head.
What?
You know how they have that little thing on their head that looks like a Spartan hat?
Yeah.
Well, those little guys are kind of like whiskers on a cat.
Oh, my.
And they can feel the vibration of things like moving feathers.
Huh.
Isn't that crazy?
It kind of makes me think of when we get goosebumps and our hair stands up.
Ooh.
And how it's somehow we're feeling the vibe of the room or the whatever.
Oh, that's interesting.
And we're able to kind of ooh.
Because they had done a study with a similar animal that is now escaping me which animal, but it had one of those things on its head as well. And they taped them down and found that those animals, whatever it was, were using that as a way to make sure they didn't bump their head going into little caves and things. And so it had a purpose. Cute. And so they started to think, wait, maybe, peacocks don't live in caves, so what else could it be for? And then they discovered that it was basically like a sensor.
Oh my gosh.
I like that.
I do too. I just think it's the idea of them doing these funny little things to animals, taping their stuff down, or when they test if animals have a sense of self when they put little paint on them to see if they can rub it off, or just the little adorable things that there's one test of what is that? What happens when women start their period and they ovulate together?
Yeah,
and how you can just put you can plug a hamster's nose and that won't work because it works through olfactory senses.
Oh.
And that effect doesn't happen if the females can't smell male pheromones. And how they test is they just put little adorable clothespins on their nose or something.
So if there aren't men around, that it wouldn't happen?
Correct.
Yeah, because they're all trying to beat the other one to get ovulating.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. But so it's funny to think that researchers are I know, plug their noses. I know, tape these little hairs down.
Right, and they're using, as you said, little nose plugs or whatever.
Yeah, or little teeny tiny, they whatever they do, and they sometimes they come up with adorable little ways to use a a Q-tip to do these things, and it's just funny like that.
Well, on a similar sort of phenomenon was that there was a recent study that came out that is not peer reviewed yet, so we don't know what they'll determine in the end, but the sort of introductory findings are talking about how plants essentially have the same thing. They're little thingies where they can hear a bee or whatever coming nearby through the movement of that bee's wings, and then they can instantly make their nectar sweeter.
Oh my gosh! I didn't know they could do it with making their nectar sweeter.
Yeah,
I've heard of it of releasing toxins when they sense that a bug that's like threatening is near. That they can do the same thing with like poisonous secretions or whatever
to protect themselves.
I'm telling you, they feel stuff.
It's crazy to me, though.
I know it. And that movie that came out, it was an M. Night Shyamalan movie. I think it was called The Happening. Mm-hmm. And I freaking loved it. And I was like, I think this is real. I think this stuff, like, don't fuck with plants because we don't even know what they're about. And the whole premise of the movie is like people are dying and they don't know why. And it's really like the plants they're threatened, like their environment is being threatened, and they can recognize that like the climate is changing. So it's like to defend themselves, they create like this toxin that the spores like go out into the wind and they kill everybody.
Whoa.
And it's the plants and it's the wind that are doing it. And I'm like, because we don't even know. They're doing it at a very like the plants do this for bugs and for, whatever. And we see that. So it was just like expanding on something that was already a known like phenomenon in the scientific world. And I love that. And I'm like, we don't,
yeah,
we think we know, but we have no idea.
Well, and the other part of that same study that is more controversial, that they're not sure if it's accurate, but they claim that plants make essentially a scream noise. They scream, and it's at a pitch that humans can't hear.
Oh, no.
I know.
This is like, Suze,
upsetting.
once I saw a lady who at the, like Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever, and she was buying a queen palm. It's like a plant that, like a palm plant for your house.
Yeah.
And she picked it up by the base of the plant, like by the stem.
Oh.
And it made me, and she like dragged it like that, and it made me cringe. And I was like, oh my God, that would be like somebody picking up by the hair and dragging you across the floor.
Yeah.
And it like physically hurt me. And I was like, oh my God, carry it from the bottom. You're going to hurt it. And I said that out loud. I couldn't help myself. It was like an automatic response. Because in my mind, I felt like, this is again, me like anthropomorphizing plants. But, and like now maybe the science says that I'm right. And I was like, oh, God, don't do that. That hurts her.
Oh,
Pick her up by the bottom. She's a living thing. What?
Did the person change their...
No.
Oh.
She didn't care. She's a lady who I could tell she's like the one who's not watering that plant and is replacing it every 3 months.
Yeah. I would have been annoyed, though, if somebody said that to me in the store.
Of course you would. Because of course. That's why I said I couldn't help myself. It was an automatic response. Oh, well, it's different. If I'm someplace where I feel like the person is informing me about like a better way to do, I don't know. Sometimes I'm open to it. Sometimes I'm not.
Yeah. Basically, if a woman does it, it's fine.
That was what I was going to say.
I mean, kind of.
I was like, if some dude tells me how to fucking do something, I'm like, can it?
Can it? But don't can it about Poshmark because all our stuff's on there and we want you guys to buy it.
Yeah, man. Woo, I love it.
How
I was
are your
up so late
sales
last
going?
night on Poshmark. Well, they've slowed down because I haven't listed any new things. That's actually on my to-do list today. Figure rainy day, I might as well just Poshmark some shit.
Yes. And you guys, if you're not using Poshmark, it is time. It's so fun. And you can get really nice stuff on there at such good prices. And also, you can list your own stuff. So you can have a closet of things that people can buy from and make offers on. And likewise, you can make offers on other things that you find that you're wanting to buy. And it's so
You've
convenient.
got great stuff listed right now.
I feel like I do. I want people to buy it.
Oh, my God. Those Todd shoes?
Yeah.
Suze.
I know.
Suze.
They're my favorites, but I have a policy where if I buy a new pair of shoes, then one pair has to go.
That's a good policy. Good policy.
Because I have a shoe rack, and it has to all fit on there. And if I run out of space, then a pair of shoes has got to go. So my loss is your gain. And you need to go to Poshmark.com or download the app and then use our code, which is I'm Sarah Rice, which is also the name of her closet. And you'll get $5 off your first purchase, which is so fun. So use our referral code, I'm Sarah Rice, on the Poshmark app or at the website, and you'll get that $5 credit to use towards anything you want. Yes. Good times, great oldies.
Actually, that is that applies.
Why?
Good times, great oldies.
You're right.
Some of the clothes are older.
That is,
and they're great.
I wish I had been clever enough to realize I had thought of that.
Appropriate. Well, that's what you got me here for.
I read an article about why restaurants are so loud now.
Oh,
have you noticed this trend? Loud restaurants.
I'm going to make a guess.
Okay.
That the design of the restaurants is changing and the acoustics are louder, like higher ceilings.
Yep.
More minimalistic look.
Yes.
And less things like carpeted floors and cushiony seats.
Yes. You are right. You are right. You are right. This whole movement towards minimalism and, postmodern, or what do they call it? Mid-century as well, mid-century modern, that look. And also open kitchens, because all that noise used to be put behind a door. And now, the kitchen is usually in sight, and you can see the staff, and you can hear them as well. And it all increases the noise. And it was saying how it's also profitable, because it increases alcohol consumption when there's more noise and more turnover, because people, it's faster pace. It's not that sort of whisper formal dining that was in the 80s, where people would be very muted. And the trouble is that the decibel level that the noise is at is often so high that if you worked a double, like a lunch and dinner back to back, they might even be in violation of unsafe work environment for your ears.
What?
Yeah. So it's not good for servers.
No. Well, and also this reminds me of the article I was talking about temper tantrums and kids. Yeah. And maybe we're seeing more temper tantrums in restaurants, and people are like, I can't take my kids to restaurants because the environment at the restaurant is louder and more stimulating.
It's funny though, because that's part of the reason why I think a lot of people do take their kids now, is because they are so loud, and even the really expensive restaurants are so casual.
Yep.
That I think that is more, people are more inclined to be like, it's fine, it's loud, no one will notice if they misbehave or whatever. But it's not a great environment for having good conversation, number one, or bad for your ears as well.
That's so interesting. I never really thought about the noise in the kitchen until Landon and I went to this restaurant, 11 Madison Park. It's real fancy, real nice. And they invite us into the kitchen to go take a look
in New York,
see the chef and everything in New York.
Yeah.
It was silent in that kitchen.
Really?
And you don't notice it. It's one of those things you don't notice it until it's different or not there.
Yeah.
And it was the first thing. It almost felt like I had gone deaf for a second. I'm like, what? It is, you could hear a pin drop in there. And it was just that everything was a well-oiled machine, how people moved. And that was just the how they did it there. And nobody spoke, and they all had their jobs. And one person
I can't even imagine that.
You couldn't, because you can't. It's difficult for me to even describe what it felt like to be in that place and have it be so silent. And you felt like even just walking through there that you were disrupting them or being too loud.
Wow.
it was so weird. And I was like, this seems like not how it is. And everybody who was with me, because they're all in the restaurant business, was like, this is the what? This is so quiet. This is so insane.
Yeah, because when you're a server, it is just chaos. And everyone's yelling at the chefs, and the chefs are yelling at the staff. And it's a whole scene. Maybe that's like not as common now that there are open kitchens, because they can't yell at each other in front of
also
everybody.
A good point. Yes.
Which is probably a good thing.
I was going to ask a question about food and restaurant. Dang, I forgot it. Oh, well, it'll come back to me. Anyways.
Can't believe I get to have dinner with you tonight. P.S.
Oh, my gosh, I'm so excited. Except I think I'm going to change our location because Landon and I had a meal there recently, and it wasn't my favorite.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm up for anything.
I feel like we don't get to go out to dinner that often. We got to make sure it's a good place.
I know. Sarah and I are having a date, everybody. Don't be jealous.
Yeah. I was going to say you should be jealous.
That's the difference between us. Yeah. That's funny. Well, kind of combining the two categories from earlier, which is tech bros and then food from just now. I read this article in eater.com where it talked about how weirdly tech bros are becoming like the world's best bread bakers. Hello?
Yeah, I'm just like, I was like, that is odd. And then it reminded me of somebody that I follow, this woman on Instagram who has adorable mid-century modern house, and her husband is obsessed with baking bread.
Wow. See?
And he's like a techie guy.
Yeah. Apparently, well, so this became a thing in Silicon Valley where the guys that work at these places and have like super fancy jobs and stuff were quitting their jobs to become bread bakers, and now they have like one of them won a I can't remember, a James Beard Award for his bread book. I know, it's crazy.
Stop.
Like they've channeled everything they're good at into then making bread, because bread is very formulaic.
Yeah, it's
if
like
you
a
think
science
about it.
to do that.
Yeah,
it is. And temperature and conditions and
so I think that makes it appealing to these guys who are very into all of that data and like, okay, what degree is it at, and do you put in the correct...
They should go into the wine business or something that costs more than $5 a loaf.
Well, that's true. That's true. Well, I'm sure they're making out on those books, the book deals.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, other techie bros who want to bake some sourdough.
I mean, maybe they just feel like it's soothing, but I just feel like it's a weird... I know there's this whole movement towards like artisanal and everyone's
I'm
making
for
their own. Me too, but it's a bizarre thing to be like, I'm a very successful tech guy, and now I'm going to bake bread.
Well, it's interesting when you can say the tech guys, like a specific population, and then they choose a specific food. You know, it's not like you're saying, oh, all these tech guys are leaving to join the culinary world, or they're leaving to become horticulturists, or whatever it is. This is very specific.
Right.
And my mind would go to like, is this some like you know how brewery, like home brewery things? Like, I'm like, well, is it kind of like that where like those guys are like, oh, I'm going to quit, and it's like the non-alcoholic version of the home brewing?
I do think it is all
trend?
Connected.
It's got to be.
And maybe their jobs were so stressful. I can't remember their names. There are two guys that separately did this and were super successful, and now it's sort of a thing.
I feel like there's got to have been something that sparked their interest in it, that was like something that all those tech guys saw that...
Right.
You know, or like a character in some movie or some article that came out that said this is a good way for self-care, and it happened to be in Wired magazine or something like that.
I know, you're probably right. There's
got to be an explanation. Mm-hmm. That's too specific.
You're having none of it.
No, I don't know. I want to know more, and I want to know what inspired these guys. But you know what? Go for it, dudes.
I do think it's kind of funny, though. It's kind of like going camping, where I always joke where I'm like, there's a reason why we all live in houses. It's better. It's kind of like that with the making of bread. I make bread, too, but in a bread maker, so it's not so much about like, well, the yeast is at this temperature, whatever. And so it's kind of like, well, the reason we all buy bread and why they say things like the best thing since sliced bread is because it made our lives so much easier at one time, and now people are kind of returning to it, which is a bit odd.
Yeah, we're just dying for more of that, like,
home thing.
I think that might be it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things at play, I'm sure, but...
Or maybe this is pushback for all those other people in their business who are like, I'm paleo. And they're like, fuck you, I'm going to start a bread company.
I like how you're mad. Do you have a thing about paleo? You're not into it?
Oh, no, I was super into it, and I was in, like, the best shape of my life when I was doing that and working out like crazy. But, it's like anything. Like, when people tend to be very preachy in some of those...
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and in that same series that I was talking about on the last episode, that Weird and Wonderful World or whatever it is, it was like, or no, this one was on Explained. You know that show Explained on Netflix?
No.
What?
I've never even heard of it.
Yes, you do, because you talked about one of the things on there. Yeah, you talked about, oh crap, I can't remember.
I had not
There was
seen
something
it
on there that you absolutely discussed, or maybe somebody tweeted you about one of those episodes, and then we talked about it on here. Anywho, so on here was, oh my God, see, now I forgot what we were talking about. Remind me.
Well, the bread and...
Okay, the bread.
Making things.
Then,
you were talking about paleo and how...
Oh, thank you. I was like, what the hell am I talking about now? And switched the subject 1,000 times. No, it was Explained, and it was why diets don't work.
Okay.
And all of the science, they looked at all the different diets, and it really came down to...
Sustainability.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how it doesn't matter. Whatever works for you is what you should do.
I totally agree.
People's success with quote-unquote diets was taking those concepts that they learned of healthy eating and integrating them into their daily food habits. So it's more like picking whole foods and not eating processed foods, and how if you just focus on that, then you tend to eat less calories, you tend to eat less fat, you tend to eat, better anyway, so you can, maintain healthy weight. It's really just calories in and calories out. And it's not like it doesn't matter, whatever, you can do whatever you want, but it's whatever works for you. And so when people are like, no, this is the only way, it's like, well, actually, no.
I couldn't agree
certain
more.
Ones will work better for certain body types, and that's how people, like 3 people can do the exact same diet, and it works for one person, and some person gains weight, and some person doesn't change at all. And it's like motivation and all this other stuff. So, anybody who has wants to get on a soapbox about how everybody should be doing this and this. Anytime somebody starts a sentence with "you should," just ignore the rest of it. The therapist the theoretical model that I follow, she she calls it shoulding all over the place.
Why? Oh, shoulding.
Yeah. She's like, don't should all over the place.
Yeah, that's true. And
she's like an academic scholar who's using that phrase, and I'm like, I love you.
Pretty much any time there's a one-size-fits-all solution for something that's about human behavior, it's not going to be one-size-fits-all, actually.
Right. With the exception of relationships are important. That's it.
Yeah, but how you manage them is so personal and individual.
Oh, good point. Good point. Yeah, there is not a one-size-fits-all model at all for anything.
No, if it involves human behavior, forget it.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah. I don't know.
Love it.
Before we go, I want to ask you something. There was a hilarious article in The Cut, which is talking about the burp and blow, which men do.
Oh, classic.
Okay.
Yes.
So
now are we using this as a tool for annoying people, like my husband, like when I do it? Or is this just like a natural, like you burp and you blow it out?
Oh, this is a natural one where it tends to be men. Maybe some women do it too, but men that you're talking to will burp and then blow it to the side. I
totally know this move.
And so the person was writing about it and saying do guys think that helps? And then they started doing this sort of experiment to see if blowing it to the side actually does prevent your conversation partner from smelling it, and it does not.
What?
That it's not effective in preventing the smell
Like you can still smell, smell it blowing it out of the side. Like we think it's like a cigarette smoke and somehow not going to annoy the person if it's...
Well, and even in that case, you might not get the smoke in your face, but you can still smell the smoke.
Yes. Oh, good point.
And like...
my husband likes to do this in the car without rolling the window down. And I'm like, I can still smell it. You had eggs with ketchup.
Ew. Ew. I'm speechless. Well, I just don't get anybody that's burping in public and thinking it's okay. Unless you're with your family or something.
Mm-hmm. I was in the clinic yesterday and I was burping like crazy. I must have eaten something. I don't know.
And you would just burp and blow?
Stop. It was more like but they were like tiny ones. It was like...
Oh, yeah.
But it was... not like a big... Because I feel like male burps and female burps are almost different.
I do too.
Like when Landon burps, and even when things come out in the other direction, it's like, mine's just like gas trying to escape from my body. His sounds like a demon trying to escape from the depths of hell.
Really? It's louder?
Oh my gosh, it's so loud. The burps, I don't even feel like it's louder, and there's more like, it's like heavier in a way. Like how is it? How does it have mass?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Maybe it's because their bodies are bigger, or whatever.
Maybe I'm not into any.
I don't know.
That's what I know.
I don't know. Yeah.
All right, we're done. We're done here.
That's it. We're gonna end on burping. I should burp just to close it out. But
you should let her rip.
I can't.
Wow.
I can't burp on command. Can you?
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a gift. It's a gift. All right, see you next time, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.